Hi everybody! So today I'm going to show you to make this little pacifier. This is designed by Jess Davies, also known as CraftLover17 on Instagram. She had made this for the Baby Minion, and it's a cute little addition. You can just even make this for somebody that's expecting a baby and put it on their little present as a decoration, or any of the other little dolls, even my baby doll that you can find on my channel. Now there's not too many supplies needed and there's not too many steps in this one. So I am going to make mine exactly the way you see here. And for this one, this is my magic ring wildflower that you can find on my channel. The link will be down below in the description box. So I'm going to get started and I do hope you enjoy. I'm going to start off with the neon orange and I'm going to do 4 single crochets in the magic ring. So you're going to take your first band and wrap it around the bottom peg 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. With your hook, reach in and bring your 4 bands through one at a time. On your hook, bring your top loop over and bring it to the side. Back in for your second band, bring through. On your hook and bring your 2 loops over and bring it to the side. And just continue your third band, 2 loops over and bring it to the side. Back in for your fourth and 2 loops over. You want to attach your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook and remove off the loom. Move your bands around that cap band that we have so it's nice and even, and you should have 4 stitches. Round 2, we're going to increase to 8 stitches. So you're adding 2 bands to each chain, 2, 2, 2, and 2. You're going to add them one at a time. So through your first stitch, bring your first band through, your chain, on your hook and slide, and go back in for your second band. Going to the next chain, repeat 2 bands. Back in. And repeat with your last 2 chains. This is tiny, so take your time. And your last chain. You should have 8 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 3, I'm going to add 1 band to each chain around. So I'm going to do a single crochet to each chain. I have 8 bands here, so at the end of round 3, you're going to have 8 stitches. Going in the first chain with 1 band, and the next with 1, just all the way until you get to the stitch marker. So this is what you should have. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 4, our last round, we're going to do an invisible decrease to the stitches around. So I'm going to do 4 invisible decreases. So this is where I add an extra band. I really do recommend that you use the invisible decrease method. So all you're going to do is do a slip stitch on the first, leave it on your hook, another slip stitch and leave it on your hook, and then slide. And then those 2 stitches will be stitched together. So I'm going to go on my first chain, do a slip stitch, and leave it. And the next chain, again, a slip stitch. So you have 3 loops and slide. That was our first invisible decrease. We need to do this 3 more times. So the next 2 stitches with a slip stitch. Leave it on your hook. The next stitch, slip stitch. So you always have the 3 loops and then you'll slide. And again, slip stitch and leave it. The next chain again. So I have my 3 loops and I'm going to slide. Your next 2 chains, again, you're going to do the slip stitch, but your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So I'm going to go in, do a slip stitch, and then the last chain, I'm just going to bring this band through all of the loops that are on my hook to tie it closed. Remove your stitch marker, and then you're going to force that tiny little opening open. So grab where your slip knot is, and then find your top, and then open it up. So you want to be careful in the next round, you're not going to go through this gap, which I'm going to show you how to close that after. You can just move your bands around. Switching to the red, and again I'm going to do 4 single crochets in the magic ring. So I'm going to take my first band and wrap it around the bottom peg 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And bring your 4 bands through one at a time. Attach your stitch marker, and you can remove off the loom. And move your bands around, and you should have 4 stitches. Just move it around that little cap band. For round 2, what we're going to do is an increase on each stitch. I'm going to go through the chains through this red, and then I'm going to go through the chain that's on this orange. I'm going to bring 2 bands through both of those chains one at a time. So I'm going to go on my first chain on the red, and I'm going to make sure you open this up. I'm going to pull this a little bit tighter, and I'm going to go through the chain that's right beside the slip knot. And I'm going to bring my first band through that orange and the chain on the red and on my hook and slide. Now I need to go back in that same chain on the red, the exact same one, and the exact one on the orange. And I'm going to bring my second band through on my hook and slide. Now going through the next chain on the red, open it up. It's so tiny, you don't want to go through the wrong chain, so open it up. The next chain on the red, and you're going to see part of like a gap here. Don't grab the wrong chain. Open it up so you find your top chain, and you're going to bring 2 bands through those chains one at a time. Go back through that same chain on the red and that same chain on the orange, so you're right beside your red stitch, the last one, and do another crochet. Again, the next stitch now, or the next chain on this red, and the next chain, open it up on the orange, and bring 2 bands through that those same chains one at a time. Back in that same chain on the red, that same chain on the orange, And now we're at the last chain on the red, and I'm right beside the stitch marker on the orange, so through that chain and bring 2 bands through, one at a time. Back through the red and back through the orange. Bring your band through, on your hook, and slide. And open this up. Remove your stitch marker. You should have 8 stitches because you used 8 bands. If you look at your stitches, you should have 2 red stitches in each chain of the orange. Round 3, you're going to add 2 bands to each chain, 2, 2, 2, 2, doing an increase all the way around. At the end of round 3, you're going to have 16 stitches. Your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So let's go on our first chain and bring 2 bands through one at a time. Back in. The next chain with 2. Back in. The next chain with 2. Back in. The next chain with 2. All the way until you get to the stitch marker. Back in. Back in. And the last chain with 2. Back in, and your last band, bring it through all of the loops that are on your hook, grab the end and tie it off. So this is what you should have so far. Now I'm going to do the bottom base of this, and I'm going to do 4 single crochets again in the magic ring. So the the band you're going to take and wrap it around the bottom peg 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Reach in and bring your 4 bands through to create your magic ring one at a time. Attach your stitch marker and remove off the loom and fix your bands. Move them around your cap band there and 4 stitches. Round 2 of the bottom base, we're going to add 2 bands to each chain, so we're going to increase on each chain around. So you're going to go in your first chain and do 2 single crochets one at a time. Back in. The next chain with 2. The next. And the last one. You should have 8 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. Now this is the last round to the bottom base, and I'm going to increase on every stitch around. So adding 2 bands, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way around. At the end of round 3, you're going to have 16 stitches, and your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So in the first chain, just bring 2 bands through one at a time. Back in. And just repeat the next stitch with 2. And back in. And just continue until you get to the stitch marker. The last chain, and now back into the last band, bring it through all of the chains and tie it off. And you can remove your stitch marker. Mine just flew, and this is what you should have. Now we're going to attach the 2 pieces together. And I'm going to sew those together by doing 16 slip stitches around. So I'm adding 16 bands. You want to take the bottom base and make sure that the curl is facing the top part. I'm going to put my hook through the bottom base right beside the slip knot, and then go right beside the slip knot. So you want to go right in there where the slip knot is. Don't go to this chain here. You're going right beside the slip knot, and you're going to bring your first band through both of the loops on your hook and slide. And going to the next chains, you're going through both bottom and the top, and again you're doing a slip stitch. So you're just going to do this to each chain by going through all of the loops and then slide. So we're just sewing these together. Repeat base and then the top through all of the loops, and then repeat. Your last band, you're just going to pull a little bit tighter just to secure it and close it. Both of the chains. And then I'll show you how to fix the top part. While doing these slip stitches, it just gives it a different effect than just crocheting it around. Oh, did I mistakenly just add another band? You should have used 18 bands. So this was my last one, and I'm just going to secure it. Now you are going to hide all these slip knots around, but if by chance you have the top part all messed up like that, all you're going to do is, if you have some tension around, just take your little knots at the top and just give them a pull around. This little thing is so small that if we do pull, you're going to have the gaps. And then basically you're just pushing down. Your magic ring should be right nice at the center. And by doing this, you're just releasing some of the tension that we have, but it's important to fix it. Now you want to hide all these slip knots. I'm going to go through the bottom base just to grab these red ones and bring it through. And again, if you pull these two hard, then you're going to push this piece inside. So you don't want to pull these slip knots too hard through. And again, I hate hiding slip knots. So as you pull them through, you want to fix. So you're fixing the tension up here. And I have this little gap here, so I'm just going to loosen up on the red, just around. Trying to close that up, and I'm going to go through the orange to hide that slip knot. So this is what you should have so far. Now we're going to make a chain on either side. We're going to, on one side, so probably the left side, it doesn't matter as soon as you turn it around, one side has to have a chain of 3 using 2 bands, and then the other side needs a chain of 2 using 2 bands. So just as I have here. Now to do this, it's going to be a little bit tricky. You want to find the sides that you want to use. And that really doesn't matter. So you want to go on one side and on the other side. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to do a chain of 2 and leave it on my hook. So find the little band, bring your band. I'm using pink. And the next one. Now I'm going to leave this on my hook just like that, and I'm going to go straight across, and I'm going to do a chain of 3, because if you let go, this will fall apart, or if you have something to hold it in place. So do a chain of 3, bring it through the red band, and on your hook. And I'm going to build up on just on this one. Just like this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a chain of 6 single bands, and I'm going to double them. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to bring it through these 2. So a single band, stretch it, figure 8, and double it. Again, single band, twist, double, and make a chain. Single band, trying to get it not so twisted. Single band. And single band twisted. And this is what you should have. Now I'm going to show you how to attach this to the Baby Minion. You can use a button or whatever you'd like, even just a single band, and just do a slip knot to tie it there, or use a bead, whatever you would like. I'm using my magic ring wildflower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a single pink band to do the slip knot to attach to the body. I'm going to take these 2 loops off very carefully, and I'm going to go through one side and the other side of the back of the flower. Through the chains. and on the other side. And I'm going to put my 2 little loops back on. And I'm going to bring a single band through. And grab the end, just to hold it there. Now I want to attach this to the baby. So from the, I've turned her around and I'm going to do it somewhere in here. So I need to take off one end, go through the chain on the body, grab the end, and I'm going to slide it underneath to do a slip knot. So sliding it through the other band here. And I'm just going to wrap it around the flower just to secure it a little bit more. And it's done.